let's dive into today's topic, muscle precision and power. Picture this. It might sound simple, but think of your muscles as a bunch of dimmer switches. Some turn on just one light bulb for subtle mood lighting. Others flip on like 100 to flood a stadium with light. Pretty interesting, right?
Oh, it's super fascinating. And that dimmer switch analogy is actually pretty spot on. What you're describing there are motor units, and they're the building blocks of how our muscles contract. Remember, motor units are just a number of muscle fibers that are controlled by a single neuron. Smaller motor units are the finesse players. They help you with delicate tasks like carefully picking up a glass of water. Larger motor units, well, they're the heavy lifters. These are the ones you'd call on for something like, say, squatting with a massive barbell.
Wait, so like finesse for the glass of water, brute power for the squat?
Exactly. And it gets even more interesting when we talk about how the body decides which motor units to use.
Ah, I can see where you're heading. With efficiency, right?
Yes, this is where the size principle comes in. Your body starts with the smallest motor units first and ramps things up only as needed. It's like, let's say you're picking up a delicate pastry. You absolutely don't want to use those larger units because, well, you'd crush it. On the other hand, if you're deadlifting, your body knows to recruit the big guns.
Makes total sense. So it's like a step-by-step process. Start small, add more force as needed.
Exactly. And here's the cool part. These motor units can't stay on indefinitely. They take turns like players in a relay race to avoid burning out. That leads us right into this concept called fused tetanus.
Ooh, tetanus. Sounds intense. What is that exactly?
Ha ha ha. Yeah, the word does sound a bit intimidating, but fused tetanus just means your muscle is contracting smoothly to hold a position. Imagine carrying groceries. To keep your arm in one place while holding those bags, your brain sends super fast electrical signals to your muscles. So fast, in fact, that the muscle doesn't have time to relax between signals. It fuses together into one smooth contraction instead of this jerky movement.
Oh, so that's how you can hold the groceries without, your arm shaking uncontrollably.
Exactly. Without fused tetanus, our muscles would feel, well, twitchy. The rapid-fire electrical signals smooth everything out, and this is happening constantly in everything from keeping your posture to just holding up your coffee mug.
Man, I'll never look at a simple task like that the same way again. It's kind of amazing how much our bodies are doing in the background just to manage that precision and power balance. All right, so we've covered how our muscles work with precision and power, from those dimmer switch motor units to fused tetanus, keeping things smooth. But now I'm curious. How do they keep going? What's fueling all of this? Whether it's a sprint, a jump, or running a marathon, it all comes down to energy pathways, right?
Exactly. And it's fascinating because our bodies have three very distinct pathways for making ATP the energy currency of our cells. Each pathway is kind of tailor-made for different situations.
So, give me some real-world examples. Let's say I'm that sprinter, shot out of the blocks for a 100-meter dash. What's happening with my muscles then?
Great example. For that kind of explosive start, your muscles depend on a process called direct phosphorylation. It's super fast and uses this molecule called creatine phosphate to instantly recharge your ATP. But here's the kicker. It only lasts about 10 to 15 seconds.
So short bursts of power, but it burns out quick?
Exactly. Perfect for a sprint or even a quick escape from, I don't know, a bear. Hypothetically, of course.
Oh, you'd be watching me sprint to the nearest exit. No hypotheticals needed. But okay, what about something longer paced, like a basketball game with all those back and forth plays?
That's where anaerobic respiration comes in. It's sort of the middle ground. Here, your muscles use glucose to keep generating ATP without requiring oxygen. It's a bit slower than direct phosphorylation, but gives you about 30 to 40 seconds of intense activity, perfect for those fast breaks, quick jumps, and constant motion.
But I'm guessing there's a trade-off. It's not just endless energy?
Right. Anaerobic respiration is quick but inefficient. It leaves behind lactate, which most people know as that burning feeling in your muscles. Definitely not the system you rely on for endurance events.
Gotcha. And that leaves the marathoners, right? How are they still standing after miles?
That's where aerobic respiration shines. Slow but incredibly efficient. With oxygen fueling the process, your body extracts the most ATP possible from glucose, keeping you going for hours. It's why distance athletes train to maximize their oxygen use. More oxygen equals more energy over longer periods.
So it's all about matching the pathway to the effort. Quick sprints, basketball stamina, or long-distance endurance. Makes sense. But what about the muscles themselves? Are they specialized for these activities?
Oh, absolutely. Enter fast twitch and slow twitch fibers. Fast twitch fibers are your sprinters, explosive but tire quickly. They're amazing at generating quick bursts of energy using anaerobic respiration. On the flip side, slow twitch fibers are the marathoners, smaller but packed with mitochondria and blood vessels to excel at aerobic respiration.
So your muscle composition kind of determines whether you're made to sprint or go the distance.
Exactly, though the cool part is with training, you can shift some of your fibers towards what you need. Sprinters can build more fast twitch, and endurance athletes develop their slow twitch efficiency. It's all about how you're conditioning your body.
Man, I feel like I've been neglecting my slow twitch. Time to hit some cardio, maybe?
Or mix it up. Dynamic training can even balance the two. But yeah, understanding how these energy pathways and fibers work gives you an edge as an athlete or just in understanding your body better.
Well, it's already making me think differently about what's happening under the hood, whether it's a quick dash or an all-day hike. So we've covered how muscles generate power and the energy systems that fuel them. But there's another piece of the puzzle we haven't explored yet: the nervous system. It's the control center that keeps everything firing, coordinating every movement and response. Where do we even start with something so complex?
Great starting question, Eric. Let's keep it simple. Your nervous system is split into two main parts: the central nervous system, or CNS, which is your brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system, or PNS, which connects everything else to the CNS. These two systems are constantly working together, and a great way to see this in action is with something as everyday as touching something hot.
Right? Like when you accidentally grab a hot cup that's too fresh out of the microwave?
Exactly. So here's what happens. Sensory neurons in your hand, the afferent pathway, zip a signal to your spinal cord faster than you can even think, saying hot, hot, hot. Your spinal cord, part of the CNS, immediately sends out a drop it now command through motor neurons, which are in the efferent pathway. That's why you release the cup before you even realize what's happening.
Whoa, so it's a reflex. Like no input from my brain, just straight from spinal cord to hand?
You got it. Reflexes bypass the brain to save time, which is why they're so lightning fast. Your spinal cord handles the whole operation. It's one of the best examples of CNS and PNS teamwork, but it doesn't stop there. Let's dig into the somatic and visceral systems. They're another key part of how signals flow.
Okay, break it down for me. What's the difference between the two?
All right, somatic is everything you consciously feel and control. Like if you step on a sharp rock barefoot, the somatic system's sensory neurons scream at you, and then you voluntarily lift your foot. That's somatic at work. Now, visceral, on the other hand, is all the stuff your body handles without your conscious input, like monitoring how full your stomach is or keeping your heart rate steady.
So, me feeling hangry because my stomach's growling, that's my visceral system talking.
Sort of, but you're getting a visceral signal only when it's loud enough to catch your conscious attention. Most of the time, your brain knows what's happening in your stomach, but it's working behind the scenes. No fanfare.
Wow, so whether it's a reflex from my hand to my spinal cord or my body just quietly managing my digestion, it's like the nervous system is the ultimate multitasker.
Exactly. It's always active, keeping the show running smoothly. And when you think about how it all ties in, from sensing danger to controlling precise muscle movements, it's really a masterpiece of biological design.
I mean, it's wild to think about how much is happening in the background just to keep us going, even in the simplest moments. And that brings us to the end of today's deep dive. From motor units to energy pathways to now understanding how the nervous system wires it all together, we've covered a lot of ground.
We really did, and I hope it gave everyone a new appreciation for the science behind even the smallest actions, whether it's holding your coffee or dodging a reflex reaction. Thanks for having me on, Eric.
Always a pleasure, Dr. Rosario. And for all our listeners, thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Mastering Muscle Mechanics and Energy Flow. Keep moving, stay curious, and we'll catch you next time.